Hello everyone, this is Java Monk, and I'd like to present to you something I've been working on for a little while now. It is a 3D printer. So, about a month ago now, Ilmango posted a video on a 3D printer he built, and that is this. Now, I downloaded the world for myself, waited the 13 hours for this chicken to 3D print itself, and I decided that it can be much faster. So I made it much faster. Now, I didn't change too much about this, except for a few things. First off, this flying machine right here. This is what makes it so slow. So I completely changed out that system for one that uses sand, first off, and secondly, it uses pistons and just pistons pushing the rows across. What this means is, as you expand this out, the amount of time you have to wait for Ilmango's design it increases quadratically, because this poor little flying machine has to go all the way over and then all the way back and then inchworm back and forth again and again and again and again for each row. With this design, you don't have to do that. It just keeps on pushing the line across. Now what this does mean is that this chicken will be facing the opposite direction as Ilmango's. So I set up the system where we can do a great snail race, because it's still pretty slow. Not as slow, but it's still somewhat slow. So systems are warming up, got the water in, and now we get this big giant green patch. So here's Ilmango's design. Has a flying machine going all the way over and then all the way back. Mind you, the flying machine is quite fast. Not as fast as this, though. So, one side effect about using this kind of system is that the entire print will be mirrored this way. So the chickens will be facing each other, or facing away from each other. They won't be facing in the same direction. So that's something to note. And also, pistons do have the 12 block push limit, so I have this contraption here. If you've seen Ilmango's video for his ocean monument filler using sand, this will look very familiar, because it is exactly the same system. And it just pushes the powder and sand over to the side. Now, one thing that this system uses, my modification uses, is sand in order to keep the spacing proper. So this flying machine doesn't have that problem with spacing, because it just when it doesn't have a color to assign, it just goes out and doesn't dump anything. With this, that's not an option. Oh, there it goes. The first row already complete. So, and Ilmango's design almost there. So, pretty much right off the bat, mine is faster. Now, another thing is that this kind of zipper system right here is kind of pointless. I mean, you can still have this brake system for the other flying machine, but it's not all that necessary unless you have some sort of rectangular print and this flying machine has to go further this way, then this part has to go this way. But because this is a square, the brake system is technically not necessary. So this entire zipper system is completely unnecessary, unless you want an off switch. I have used the off switch for testing purposes, because of some sort of fatal flaw that I discovered halfway through the print. But other than that, it's not all that useful. Now, even with this system, you still have to deal with the 12 block push limit and obsidian. So what happens in that case? This system gets jammed up, and so does this piston. So it detects that it gets jammed up and drops all of the powder, and then sends these flying machines on their way. So after that, it goes to this little delay and updates this piston so that it pushes again, and it also sends a pulse over here. It bud powers this piston and updates it. So that is basically how you unjam this kind of system, is that this piston right here, which is bud powered anyway, it just retracts when it gets jammed up. You can't push anymore. So you remove all the sand in its way, and you bud power it. And that's exactly what I did. So the other thing is, when the system moves on to the next row, this piston's going to end up being extended, but then it updates once the powder gets over to it. So that's not a big deal. Here we go. Ilmango's design is almost done with the second row. And mine is almost done with the third row. So this is the kind of system, the contraption that's going on over here. We have an AND gate to detect when the pulse is longer than it's supposed to be. So that's when it drops all the powder and sends the flying machines on their way. I actually timed this a little while ago. So Ilmango's design takes about 390 minutes to print out the full chicken. My design, on the other hand, it takes 181 minutes. This makes it a little more than 2 times faster. That's not very much, but when I expand this out even further, then that difference increases a lot. So right now it's going pretty smoothly. And since I already timed it, there's no need to leave it running. And I've also calculated that on average, for each layer, his design takes about 21 minutes to do one layer. My design, on the other hand, takes 9.5 minutes to do one layer. So, and that's a big difference. It adds up very quickly. Also, what is it with these ghost blocks? So weird. So, let's take a look at a larger design to see how the difference adds up. And through the magic of editing, we are now in a completely new world where we have a 27 by 27 area to print, the same pixel art that Ilmango created. And both my modification and Ilmango's pure design will be racing. Once again, it's like a snail race. The difference is I'm going to give the slowest snail a head start. Just a 5-second head start, really. So, here we go. There goes Ilmango's little flying machine, going back and forth, making nothing. My design, starting right on off with the sand. So I've been running this for a few minutes. Ilmango's design at first is somewhat fast, but then slows down because it has to go all the way out and all the way back. So, but my design doesn't have to do that. It just prints them out in one long line. So, yes, it uses sand, but that's kind of a little side effect. And also, it's mirrored. So, I'm not going to reveal what the pixel art is, just for fun. So there you go. It's about to get to the part where it's actually going to start printing out a color. Not there. But yeah, the colorless is sand. This is actually the first world that I actually built my modification in, and that's why a lot of it is not as compact or as fast as it could be. But nonetheless, Ilmango's design for one layer took 217 minutes, while my design takes 78 minutes. So that's almost 3 times, that makes my design almost 3 times faster than Ilmango's. So, yep, here it comes, the black part. So, right now it looks like they're going at the same speed, but pretty soon this is about to finish its row. Well, Ilmango's design still has to go back and forth several times. So one thing you can do is that you can actually swap out these quartz blocks with the normal quartz slabs, and that will break the sand as it falls down into the pit. And by doing that, you can retrieve the sand. Now, as for refilling the sand and concrete powder, I kept up with Ilmango's design. So, we still have this kind of system here. Now, you can use the end portal concrete powder duplication to get you more concrete powder, and maybe have another player place in sand. That's one idea. Oh, there it goes. One row complete. How's this one going? Still working on that one row. Alright, so as anybody who's gone into algebra, well, most people have. For some reason, this command block isn't working properly, but most people who've gone into algebra would know that you need at least 3 points to tell if a relationship is quadratic. So I wanted to confirm that the farther my design goes, that the amount of time spent in waiting increases in a straight line, while Ilmango's increases in a curve. So it's like it's quadratic. This part is quadratic, and that is linear. So I choked some numbers, but I was left hanging because I need a third data point. And that means, to me, go bigger. And that is exactly what I did. I programmed this smiley face. It is 54 by 54. Quite possibly the largest smiley face I have ever built. In fact, it is the largest. And I didn't even build it. It's kind of funny. So, this thing took a little while to print. But as you can see, mine is printed. Ilmango's is still just barely got to the smiling part. So each row took up 2 shulker boxes, and that was quite challenging to program. So you got that, and with those data points, I've managed to extrapolate that my design took 234 minutes. Ilmango's, I had to make a few guess estimates, and his would take 1,944 minutes. You can go ahead and plug it into a calculator to see how many hours that would take. Yeah, that's why it's still going. And this makes my design a little more than 8 times faster than Ilmango's. So this is where things got really crazy. I decided, why not have a fourth data point that is just insane? And that's this thing, way over here. This thing is 108 by 108, 4 shulker boxes per row. At that point, I just figured, why not just have a random splat of colors like this? So you get this weird stripy pattern, and as you can see, my design is working real hard. And Ilmango's design, I had to actually stop because when I was using MC Edit to copy all this, yes, I used MC Edit. If I didn't, I would probably be 30 years old and still be building this. So I had to actually stop Ilmango's design because I made some sort of fatal flaw with it transferring between rows. But I got one row. I managed to find out that one row, on average, takes an hour and 45 minutes for Ilmango's design. And I can see why. I mean, this flying machine has to fly 100 blocks, a little more than that, and inch one back and forth. Meanwhile, this design, it takes a lot less time. So it takes about 20 minutes per row. So you can kind of see the trend here. Actually, made a mistake in that. So I ran some calculations. Again, it's all predictions because I haven't actually completed this. And I don't exactly have 6 days to actually watch it being completed. So, and I did keep a logbook to tell how long it took for each row. So I predicted timing for this, for Ilmango's design, 11,340 minutes, which is about 3.5 days straight. I don't have that time. So my design, on the other hand, is predicted to take 520 minutes. Now that makes this design, at this size, almost about 22 times faster than this design. So, yeah, that's pretty fast. At this gigantic of a size, I figured that you probably already got the idea with the dispenser system, and so I removed the dispenser system and instead replaced it with a pan of water, which also has all these quartz half slabs, which break the sand as they fall in here. So this was mainly because it's only a 2D pixel art, so there was really no need to have a layer by layer system, but you can still have that dispenser system. It does not mess with this contraption over here. So yeah, there you go. And you can still print out gigantic smiley faces. One thing you have to keep in mind with my modification is that there are 2 blocks right here that are taken by this piston. Now, this is entirely because I did not want to, this is a modification to Ilmango's design. So there's already 2 blocks of space between where the sand falls and where it actually lands on these flying machines. So this is designed so that you can take Ilmango's design as is and swap out a few things to turn it into this. Just speed it up. Now what this means is that there's 2 blocks of extra space. So what you need at the very, very end is for something like this, a purple shulker box with 2 gray stained glass panes, that being the empty color, which will print out sand. That will just give 2 extra sand to this machine, and and that way everything will print properly. And you won't have an extra row just sitting on top of here that you have to manually trigger. So I did actually see Ilmango's video on a much, much faster 3D printer that he designed using sand, basically skateboarding across fences. I don't understand how that works at all. And so I didn't exactly understand what was going on with that machine. But one thing was for certain, I tried it out on this world, laid out a really long stretch of fence, and the sand kept its momentum alright, but the problem is, if it stops and falls onto a block, it turns into an item instead of a block. So what would happen is that after a long time of existing as an entity and not really doing anything, not going anywhere, it will turn into an item when it falls onto a block. So that makes that design not infinite. This design, however, or at least my modification to it, makes it both infinitely expandable and fast. So there you go. I haven't actually seen too many other designs involving this kind of contraption, or involving an infinitely expandable 3D printer. So let me know if there's one that is even faster than mine. And do know that if there is sand going across the fences, like it's anti-gravity or something like that, then do know that that therefore means that it is not infinitely expandable. So there we go. That is my modification to Ilmango's 3D printer. So one thing I did to gonna keep time was that I had these fireworks go off. So I'm just gonna show you what happens as an example. When the fireworks go off, I would hear that, and then all these flying machines would be going. And is it just me, or is a bunch of flying machines like this going in one direction just oddly satisfying? I don't know what it is. So I hope you enjoyed. If you did, let me know. And let me know what you want to see next. Bye.